And it's live. All right, cool. What's up, everybody? I am joined here with my lovely brother in arms, Raised to Alba. We're going to be discussing several different things. I don't even know if this video is going to be broken into chunks. It may be released all at once. Who knows? You all let me know down below in the comment section if you want me to break it. I mean, but before we jump into that, Raise, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you at? Like what kind of stuff you do here on YouTube?
I mean, of course. Previously on Game of Thrones, I did exclusively Game of Thrones content. That's where me and Mark, of course, our hunts met each other. The Brotherhood Without Banners. The OGs know. If you know, you know. And you can find me on YouTube, Raised to Alba, or on Twitter, Raise Alba as well.
Nice. And I'll link those down below in the description. And I think those we did like a couple episodes under that moniker where we were basically we had another person join us from the UK and we were discussing like Game of Thrones. That's when I first started on YouTube. So me and Raise was doing it a little bit before me, but we kind of started around the same time.
Yeah.
And we've done collaborations before. I'll try to link those down. I think the most recent one we did was DC when the DC did a convention last year. But we're gonna, if you guys enjoy these, well, obviously, let us know. It's nice to have guests on and to collaborate with people because I feel like I'm talking to myself a lot in a lot of my videos. So it's nice to have like, another opinion. But I guess we can go ahead and jump right into this motherfucker. Please, y'all, slap a like on this video. Make sure you're subscribed. And the like goal for this video is going to be 42069. But yeah, so we'll start off. We want to go through some new castings. We want to talk about some of the leaked pictures. We want to talk about what are we like looking forward to with this series. And then also I have some questions and some theories and stuff that I want to take from Twitter and my Patreon. But before that, I guess we'll just go ahead and start with some of the leaked pictures. So basically, let's see if this will work. All right. So we'll start with this one because this is obviously everyone's favorite. And that's the thing. A lot of these, whoa, what the fuck? It's showing the wrong one. Technical difficulties. Hang on a second. There we go. So yeah, this is everyone's favorite Targaryen. And like I was kind of started to mention before I like messed up was that some of these pictures are spoilery. But for the most part, this story is already finished. So if you haven't read Dance of the Dragons, me and Ray have. So there's not really anything that'll be spoilery until either we see that first trailer or the first season comes out and they chopped up the timeline and the storyline and you don't really know what's going to happen next. So this is just an image of Daemon, which is like, I don't know, super fucking exciting. Ray, I don't know if you see Dark Sister.
Yeah, like, if you recall when we were back on season, what was it, 7 of Game of Thrones, season 6 with the whole Hodor situation, when Mira grabs the sword, everybody was like, oh, the sword. Yeah. Jesus. And now to actually see it, it's actually pretty cool. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that feels like a nice payoff.
Yeah, I don't know if that one was.
No, I don't think it was. I'm just saying that, the hype at that time, everybody was like, oh, that must be Dark Sister. It's going to come later into play.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
Do you want to explain real quick? Like, I kind of remember a little bit, but real, like, the reason behind the hype for that, like what sort of happened?
Well, as far as, what I recall, it is a Targaryen ancestral sword. It's the sword that Visenya Targaryen used, Aegon's sister wife, Aegon the Conqueror's sister wife. And basically that sword has been passed down from generation to generation. And right now Daemon has it, but I believe Maegor the Cruel had it at one point. And, it's still been passed down. So it's pretty hyped to see it. Like, it's just like another big hype sword is Blackfire. You know what I mean? Like, it's another one that we all want to see as well. So, who knows? Like, it's crazy to get hyped for a sword, but then again, I have like one of those like foam swords from Game of Thrones, the long claw. I ain't have the pockets for a replica from Valyrian Steel. Yeah,
like $400.
I didn't have it like that, but I ended up getting the long claw foam one just for like my streaming, and I can't wait to get either Blackfire or Dark Sister. I mean, like, it
Yeah,
looks
it's
dope.
gonna be dope, and they confirmed it. If I'm not mistaken, George in the Props podcast, Ryan Condal, one of the showrunners for House of the Dragon, he has this podcast on Spotify, Props podcast. He mentioned in that episode that they need people to watch and share it because if not, they're not gonna be able to continue to do it because it's like kind of a hassle for them. So everybody who's watching this right now, of course, go listen to that. You get to listen to like an hour-long interview with George R. R. Martin, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, the most recent interview he's done. So but yeah, he talks about a bunch of different things, but he also mentions, Blackfire is part of the Dance of Dragons. We're going to get to see that and Dark Sister. And I've actually got a few other images of Dark Sister. Like there's one where Daemon throws it in the sand. Let me see if I can pull that up here. But yeah, so originally it was supposed to be like since it was for Visenya, it was meant to be like a female blade. House Targaryen had that sword, Dark Sister, before they even came over to conquer Westeros. So it's been in their family for a while. I don't know if they're going to like touch on that history in the TV show, but originally it was like a slender blade and it was meant to, because of that, they thought that it was meant to be carried by a female. I don't know who they're going to give Blackfire to at first on the TV show. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that.
I mean, from what I recall, it usually tends to go to like the king. That's why the whole thing with the Blackfire is because Aegon gives it to his bastard son, and people interpret that as like a legitimization, like they're trying to legitimize him as king, or like give him like the little window to try to creep in and take that title. But due to that, I would imagine that that the king or whoever has the lead in King's Landing at the moment gets that sword. I would imagine that's how they're probably going to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I just wasn't sure. Like, I guess that's more something that I didn't share. But I'm thinking like because we don't know exactly where the timeline is going to start, so I don't know if because we're doing flashbacks, who's going to have it in maybe the most current like version of their timeline on the show. Because we got like younger actresses that are playing Rhaenyra. Yeah. So and that's another thing too. Is like how fucking long is that going to go on for? Are they going to do that past season 1? Like, what do you think? Do you think they're going to do that the whole series? Like, I don't think they'll do it the whole series, but do you think they're going to do it like post season 1? Do you like continue to do that dual timeline kind of thing?
I
mean, like Westworld?
Like Westworld is, to be honest, or Westworld season 1.
Yeah.
Was probably my favorite in recent memory of shows that have tried to do that. But I also feel that some shows with the whole flashing back and then flashing forward, and then they don't tell you something, but then they're like, oh, well, this happened. I hope they don't do that. You know what I mean? Because if they do that, I feel like a lot of people might get confused if you're like trying to associate the past to like the present. And that these names in Westeros, some of them aren't very easy to remember. So you like in the beginning, you're always getting introduced to these characters. Like I remember when I first started watching Game of Thrones, I was like, okay, like these names in the beginning, they're somewhat easier, and then I'm like, okay, when you start seeing the Targaryens, you start hearing about Rhaegar, Viserys, you're like, okay, I've never heard that name in my life. So then like that is kind of like where I'm a little bit iffy. If we're gonna have more dragons and more Targaryens and more Valyrians, I would be hesitant to want these flashbacks back and forth, because that, like, I'm not saying about anybody else. This is just me. I would probably get confused, even me knowing. Imagine, like, if any of us could get confused on, mix like all these other characters in the beginning. I would imagine that maybe the common viewer, like someone who doesn't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
hopefully they don't do it too much with the flashbacks. I hope they do, but not too much.
They did I think they're gonna do it a lot, at least in the first season, because they named the younger Rhaenyra and younger Alicent like as like series leads for the first season. So I think they're gonna be in at least like most of the episodes over half the season. Maybe not every episode, maybe they'll kind of spread it out, but it seems like, at least I thought, they're doing that by giving the named actresses that are playing younger versions of the actual, characters that are like the main person that's playing Rhaenyra. they're going to be playing Rhaenyra throughout the entire series, all the way up to their death. You know what I mean? So it would, I think the reason why they did that is because they wanted to do like a Corlys the Sea Snake spinoff. And like, you know, because he travels the world. He's like Euron, but kind of tame, you know what I mean? Not as like demented and shit. But he's one of the few, I think, that's been to Ashai and stuff. So they're gonna try to expand and explore the world in that series. I don't know if they're still gonna do it, but if they do, and that would make sense, you have Rhaenyra and you have a younger Alicent who were alive when Corlys was doing all that. And then you can also have it call back to the House of the Dragon show because you're like, oh, it's the same actress. This is before they died or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, I think they definitely will, because like you said, they wouldn't cast younger versions of them if it wasn't like a prominent thing. I just, you know, I think just for like the continuity, I hope that it's not crazy much. Like, and if they do it, I want it to be like a few episodes in the past instead of like them doing like a full-fledged going back and forth, because I think they might lose me. Like me personally, I think it would feel maybe a little bit messy like that. But then again, HBO does great stuff, so you know, they know more than I do for sure.
I think the main reason why they do that is because there's a lot of build up to the Dance of the Dragons, and that can't be like serialized in the television. So you have, in like one of the biggest problems with the last series is people complained, and that's a real complaint, is that they didn't adapt enough of the material, cutting characters like Lady Stoneheart out entirely. So they want to take their time doing this. So they want to build up to the dance, but they also don't want to have like sort of boring parts, so to speak, where it's just dialogue. So the main storyline is going to be where the shit's going down. Like I think the first season will probably end with the blood and cheese scene. And then maybe or somewhere around there, but we're still getting flashbacks to the buildup of the dance and the tourneys, the 5th year anniversary of Queen Alicent and King Viserys and all that stuff. And they're gonna have like those dual times. It'll be really easy to tell apart because the actresses they have playing younger Rhaenyra and Alicent look so fucking similar to, especially the one playing Rhaenyra. She literally looks like exactly the same as Emma Darcy. So, but it'll be easy to tell with that too. And I think Daemon, Matt Smith, they don't have a younger version of him. I think he's going to be playing himself. And I've said this, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but I haven't actually said this to you. So it's not like, you know, but with them doing that, that's a way of like showing that after these women had children, they aged a bunch. Right. So it would make sense to have Matt Smith, who's kind of just been chilling in King's Landing, you know, with the City Watch, and then also like conquering the Stepstones. He hasn't been going through childbirth every couple of years at a really young age. So of course he's going to look very similar. And I think they just gave him a longer wig or something to make it so that like, we can differentiate between the two.
Another thing too, I think that I do agree with you on the Matt Smith might be playing himself instead, because like when you really look at it, if you have Rhaenyra, she is his niece. You know what I mean? It kind of also gives it like the weirdness, like it makes you aware, more self-aware. Like, okay, this guy is her uncle. It's the same guy from before. Look at her; she's aged up, and this guy is like, you know what I mean? Like, it gives it like another layer of creepy and like dysfunctional, like all types of effed up. So I think that that's another thing that it's added when you have Matt Smith like acting as himself, and then you have the younger Rhaenyra changing. Like, he's already a developed person, but she still hasn't gotten there. So it should be interesting because it's weird. It's you know, we all know what's up with the Targaryens. They're
so like specifically they say that Daemon would like teach her how to pleasure a man and shit like that. So the I don't know if they're gonna do that, right?
Look at how old this dude look in this image right here, like in this drone cartoon. Like it's wild. Like, you know what I mean? And like it's like all these kids around him, and he's like, yeah.
They fucked up with animating Rhaenyra's kids with having the Targaryen hair. There should have been black, because that's the theory with Harwin Strong and stuff. But yeah, what were you saying?
No, yeah, it's just that. It's like, I think that definitely they're probably gonna have him playing himself in any flashbacks. Probably just not try to make him look as old, but you know, still make him look older than her.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that Disney has given their Mandalorian technology? They made it like public or whatever. So HBO, when they built that new Linden studio, they basically built an entire sound with that kind of equipment, so they could do like that's why they're doing so much on location shit, because they could now add it in post without filming in front of a green screen or whatever. So there's a way to do it. Like that's what they did for Loki. Remember in that episode where they're on
the TVA?
Yeah.
I mean, that technology is a game changer. Like legit.
They could easily make his face look a little bit, but you can't with having children. That's gonna make you know what I mean? That's gonna make you can't do that. Like, so different people really gets that point across. You're like, okay.
Yeah, like you see very very obvious changes in the character. But I mean, it's one of those things that, like, my biggest thing as a person who enjoyed Game of Thrones pretty much up till the end, like, a lot of people are mixed on it, but I pretty much enjoyed most of it, and I still even go back and watch it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna front. Like, even though it didn't end as much as like how I wanted, I still go back and I watch it. And the best thing that they did in that whole show, in all of Game of Thrones, in my opinion, was the casting. Like the casting, for you to nail it on the head, and you get actors that will grow up in front of the camera and develop into these major characters in the biggest show on the planet, is insane. You know what I mean? It's just like Harry Potter. It's like, how, no, for real, like you see like a diamond in the rough, and you're like, yo, this is gonna be our thing, and we're gonna ride this till the end. And they did that with Game of Thrones. I'm very curious to see how it plays out here. Like with
the dude that played his cousin is a fucking astounding Dudley. He that dude's an incredible actor. I did not know that was him playing the armless, legless person in that fucked up Ballad of what is that movie where they did all those different like stories in the it's the one I'm talking about. He does Shakespeare, and then the guy pushing him off the cliff. Liam Neeson's like, "Oh, fuck out of here!" Like,
I haven't seen that one, but
it's crazy. That movie's insane, dude. It's so sad. And then I'm like, why does he look so familiar? He lost a lot of weight, so he doesn't look like the same person, like really at all. So, I don't know. But yeah, no, you're right. That really is. That's one of the best things Game of Thrones did. Like, to be honest, I don't know if Emilia Clarke and Kit Harington would have as crazy careers as they do without that show being able to spotlight their talents in range. You know what I mean? Like they did plays and stuff, and I think Emilia did a few other things before that, and Kit like worked in a fucking bookstore or something. But the show really brought out their range as actors, and it was because they were cast in such perfect roles that they were able to shine like that, I think.
And as like it's very interesting, right? Because out of all of Game of Thrones, for me personally, the only actor that I did not like his portrayal at the end, of course we all know who it is, it's Bran, but I don't think it's the actor's fault. I think it was more what he was given. But I'm telling you, like, it is insane, because every show has them. They have that one person that's like, I could do without that character or that actor. He kind of, but Game of Thrones, man, everything was perfect on it. And then like when you hear, and this is where I'm curious about your opinion on this or your thoughts. We saw about the previous pilot that they were filming for what was Blood Moon?
Yeah.
And we see that they cast all these actors for the pilot and everything. And then we hear about also the Game of Thrones pilot, how it was basically failed. And now we have this show, and they greenlit it. They have some actors that we've seen in other things, some that are not as hot as others, but I have a good feeling. No, like I legit have a good feeling, because I honestly believe that you just want the best actor for the role, right? Like I don't care about a name.
Not someone who's gonna, like, you can't cast fucking Thor as Daemon, right? So that wouldn't work. He's a good actor, but you're gonna be like, oh my god,
Thor.
Western.
Like to me, this is, and you also have to cast an actor that is committed to it. Yeah. Because and this is probably, and this is my opinion. I don't know if a lot of people are gonna hate this, but this is just my opinion on this. One of the worst castings, or one of the most annoying castings in anything ever, was Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. After, listen to this. After,
I've heard about the backlash.
No, wait, but after the First Class movie, after X-Men First Class, she did not care. Like I am telling you, she was melee in. She did not care. And I wish, and
Can
I
you blame
hope,
her though? Though the first class was the only one that was good, aside from
Days of Future
Logan.
Past was good.
It was
That was great.
That
But
scene with Quicksilver running, but Logan is the best out of all those. And then the first two, that's it. The third one I don't count. Like
no,
the
but she wasn't in Logan though. But like
I know, but I'm saying like the how crazy the X-Men franchise is. She probably realized after that one was like, yo, I got signed a contract to do 5 of these fucking movies. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Like, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Dark Phoenix, they kill her off pretty early because she didn't want to be there. Like, I am telling you, bro, and that's like my worst nightmare.
Did you like Dark Phoenix?
No, but it sucked even more because of her. Like, she wanted out of that movie, bro. Like, yo,
some
like
people say it was bad because of like how shitty the storyline of Phoenix was. Not like Sophie Turner being a bad actress, but just that version of the Phoenix. You're like, what the fuck?
No, like Sophie Turner wasn't the best, but it was like I'm not even on Sophie, but I mean just Jennifer Lawrence's like mailing it in of it all. I'm telling you, you could tell when an actor doesn't want to be in a role anymore. Like, and to me, that would be my biggest fear, that you cast like a Matt Smith, and then he's like, oh, I'm so like, oh yeah, Game of Thrones, yeah. And like you just see him like in the press junkets, he's like over it, like he's just there because it's basically like Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined. It's like, and no, like that would be I'm not sure about you, that would legit be a fear of mine. Because like everybody wants the role until you get famous and you get known, and then you want to do the role that nobody wants to see you in. You know what I mean? Like you want to do like Shakespeare, or you want to do like some random shit that nobody wants to see you in, and that's like where I'm fearful. You know what I mean? Like hopefully we don't get that from here, but who knows?
Yeah, I think I originally heard that Ryan Condo was doing the casting, and then they actually announced like a casting director, but he's heavy hands on, and he's basically one of us, me or you or anybody like us, YouTubers or commenters, whoever the fuck is watching this video right now. Basically, if we got put in a position of making a new Game of Thrones series, right? So I think that dude is a really big fan, and that kind of segues into the new casting. We can kind of run through this real quick, and then I guess it would be pointless to break down every single one of them because HBO already does that. But we could just talk about Harwin for a little bit, and then how the one dude's playing twin Lannisters. And then I guess Lyman Beesbury, because his death is kind of like what makes the Greens fuckery of the dance. Like that was one of the first things they did. But I'll let you. You wanna run through these guys and read the HBO's character description or whatever?
To be honest, I can't actually see it. It's rather small here.
All right, hang on. I'll drop the link in the chat. I've never seen, other than the David Horowitz dude who I thought was gonna be Jaehaerys. I don't know. Yell at me down in the comment section. But I've never heard of any of these dudes. The guy that's playing a twin, the Lannister guy, Jefferson Hall, he played a Knight of the Vale. Like he was in one of the Knights of the Vale.
Sir Hugh, I believe.
Yeah. Did you get the link?
Yeah. All right. So you want me to read exactly where you're at?
Yeah. Oh, you can just pick whichever. You can start from the top, or whatever.
All right. So you want me to continuously just keep reading? Or you want me to read it all? Or
wait, which link did you click on? The world of Ice and Fire Westeros.org or the HBO?
The HBO House of the Dragon.
Okay, yeah. Just from where I have it on the page, from Ryan Core as Harwin Strong.
To Gavin Spokes.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Ryan Core as Sir Harwin Breakbone Strong. Harwin is said to be the strongest man in the Seven Kingdoms. Sir Harwin is the eldest son to Master of Laws Lionel Strong and heir to Harrenhal. Then we also have Jefferson Hall, who is Lord Jason Lannister, the Lord of Casterly Rock and twin to Sir Tywin Lannister. He also plays Tywin Lannister, and a crafty and calculating politician, twin to Lord Jason Lannister. I feel like that repeated itself as I was reading it. All right, then we have David Horowitz as Grand Maester Melos or Mayos in Spanish. I was going to read it in Spanish, but it says he's a voice of reason and trusted advisor to King Viserys. All right. Then we have Graham McTavish as Sir Harold Westerling.
You know you know who he is, right? Graham McTavish. I forgot to say, I know who the fuck he is from the Hobbit movies. He plays one of the Hobbits, the Battle of the Five Armies, all the new. Yeah,
man, I have so many thoughts on the Hobbits and Lord of the Rings, but you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that.
1 year, the new Lord of the Rings show is coming out, dude. All right, we'll do this. Maybe we could do this as like a side clip or something. But I don't have the same attachment that the people do that want Netflix, that want Amazon to keep elf titties out of the show. You know, like they want it to remain Tolkien. Tolkien didn't have sex scenes in his books, and that's like everyone's biggest fear with the Amazon show. My whole thing is one of the reasons why I found out about Game of Thrones is because a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, you don't understand. There's so many titties in this show, even if you don't like the dialogue scenes because you think they talk too much. Just watch it because you get to see boobies, and everyone loves boobies, right? So why would they not add just a little elf hobbit fucking, right? Just a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I ain't you. Those are words. Those are words I've never thought I would hear in my life. Elves and hobbits fucking. Like, I never heard them in like a 2-word approximation of each other. That's a first. Let's continue. Let's see. Graham McTavish as Sir Harold.
What were your thoughts? You said you had something that you wanted to say.
No, I was saying just in general, like Lord of the Rings. I'm not a big fan of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not. I tried to get into Lord of the Rings, but to be honest, I think that Game of Thrones kind of ruined it for me because everybody has an extreme hype for Lord of the Rings. They have it so close to their hearts, and they're like, "Yo, and they have it. They compare it to like the Battle of the Bastards, and then you see like that battle. I forgot what the name of it is. The battle in the castle, and it's like nighttime. And to me, I feel like Battles of the Bastard is better. Like I don't know. I feel like like BLB.
It's because of time. Those movies are 20 years old now. So, of course, Return of the King doesn't look as good as
it doesn't.
It does. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It doesn't look good. It does. It looks amazing, but
for its time,
look as good. Yeah, it doesn't look as good as Game of Thrones, baby. It's more realistic. It's so much. Whatever. Let's
I could get into a whole rant about this. But I would get like death threats, I believe. I'm not going.
I love Lord of the Rings. I think Game of Thrones is better because it speaks to me more as an adult. But the first fantasy movies that I ever went to go see in a theater, the first cartoon movie that I got to watch in school was the fucking Hobbit movie from the 80s, right? Where they had all those weird voices and shit, and it was like that was the first thing I saw. So then when they had the Lord of the Rings movies come out, I watched those movies so much. My VCR thing would skip at certain parts because I would rewind it and go back and watch like certain scenes over and over again. There was nothing like that. Nothing like that.
I give it its respect because I know that we would not have Game of Thrones without Lord of the Rings.
For sure.
I give it
George's inspiration. George, because he's so inspired by Lord of the Rings, he took it to another level. He's like, what is the one thing that Lord of the Rings is missing? Oh, well, Tolkien would write, King Aegon ruled for 300 years and there was a relative peace, and that was it, right? George is like, what the fuck was this policy on the orcs? What did he just go and kill every one of them? Was there like
the nitty-gritty of it, like
right? Exactly. That's why George in like, if you look at the Lord of the Rings map and you look at the Game of Thrones map, you're like, okay, George like clearly, as world building wise, it's just I don't know. And then you'll have people who read the Silmarillion and they're like, oh well, you haven't read that yet. That's why you don't understand how big Tolkien's universe is. Whatever. I don't have the same size and scale and shape. Like George basically knew what he was doing when including China and Africa and all of these other influences into his story, and like having those super mysterious from the perspective of someone in the UK in the Middle Ages. Like they heard about Africa. They never fucking.
You know what I mean? I feel like this could be its own video within its
Yeah,
own, and
that's what I'm saying. We should do it.
like in my
Tolkien versus
opinion,
Martin.
and again, I didn't read Lord of the Rings, the book. I didn't read it. I didn't. I just saw the movies, the original trilogy, right? My opinion, I think it has a certain amount of fantasy that is not for my liking. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
like the more groundedness of Game of Thrones, even though it hasn't finished, because we still don't know how it'll play out. But up to now, I like the groundedness of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
You know,
sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's just because I know it's such an unpopular opinion, and I also believe that it's overhyped. Because I do believe I know this is gonna be unpopular. Like I know this is gonna be a hot topic if this is put out, but I believe that it's too overhyped. I believe that fans of Lord of the Rings oversell it, and it just wasn't for me after Game of Thrones. And just seeing, like, when you see Game of Thrones, you see the world. You see how, like, you see over the cliffs. You see over the mountains. When you are watching Lord of the Rings, I'm sorry, it feels small. It says it's big, but it feels small to me.
Like, look at this. Look at this shot.
Look.
This is one of the best shots of Game of, like, in my opinion. This loot train. This is you there's nothing like this in Lord of the Rings, man. Like,
I'm telling you, nothing.
There's big woolly mammoths, and there's orcs.
Trees, there's trees.
Like, yeah, right. There's walking big trees, right? But it came.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get so much hate if this comes out. I'm gonna get so much hate if this comes out.
It came out so much later. Like, you just couldn't do this stuff with that. You couldn't do it. In my opinion, it's a visual medium. You want to be as entertained as possible visually. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, like I said, it's all a whole thing. Could be its own podcast. But getting back to the casting, we can run through, I guess,
where we stayed off, or you want to?
Well, I'll just run through who Harwin Strong is, and like kind of what I guess the mysterious theories that go along with this character, even though I kind of like debunked him almost immediately. I thought it would be too similar, right, for the television series to make the main character's children not her husband's children, right? Remember, Cersei, right? Rhaenyra,
Cersei, Jaime,
right? So this Harwin Strong dude, he's basically the heir to House Strong. He also served as a captain of the City Watch at King's Landing. And he's most notably known as the rumored lover of Princess Rhaenyra, right? So Harwin is believed by some to be the real the real father of Rhaenyra's first 3 children, that being Jace, Lucerys, and Joffrey. Joffrey is actually named after Joffrey Lonmouth. Like, obviously Rhaenyra's husband named her kids, or had a say so in it. But there was something that I wanted to bring up for that. But basically, the appearance of Harwin is kind of something that, if you can't tell, I feel like lackluster when I'm talking about this dude, is because he's supposed to be the strongest man in the 7 kingdoms, right? What the fuck?
Like when you have the mountain in the previous show and you give the title to the strongest man in the 7 kingdoms, you better be big, bro.
The guy in the top row in the center, Graham McTavish, Sir Harold Westerling, looks stronger than that fucking guy. He looks like whatever. I mean, whatever. I don't know how tall he is. Let's see how tall he is. What's his name? I forgot his name already. Ryan Core. Let's see how tall he is. That's important.
Dude has a name, Breakbones.
Yes.
Like not even the mountain had that. Like, it's not like
oh, I guess I'm Harwin Strong. Let me stand up. That's 5'11". This is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, no. I mean, maybe he'll bulk up. I mean, obviously everybody looks like, cock diesel in fucking armor, but Harold Westerling, Graham McTavish is super convincing to me as the Lord Commander. If I'm not mistaken, he's the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
I mean, with the thing about the size and stuff too, you remember Kit Harington? He's pretty vertically challenged,
Remember when they had to film the scene of like his resurrection and it was just so obvious how short he was because they did the full
the table.
yeah.
No, I mean, in the books, he's like he has like a good size, like good, and then like you get this young actor and you kind of hope he grows out a little bit, and then you're like, damn.
You know, he's basically playing the same character in the Disney.
I know, right? Talk about being typecast.
He has like a mythical sword, long claw. Oh my god, that's fucking genius. And then Rob is the goddamn leader. What's his name? I can't think of his
Icarus.
name. Yes, Icarus. Like that's crazy. That's so crazy. And his name is Dane Whitman, I think. Dane, something like that. But
yeah, Dane Whitman.
Yeah, so basically how Harold Westerling and Sir Harwin Strong and I guess Kristen Cole are a little bit linked, not so much Harwin Strong, but Harold Westerling is the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
That dude, I am scared of him.
Yeah, he's
an intimidating man.
It kind of pisses me off that they didn't cast him as someone else because he dies in 112 AC and then Kristen Cole takes over as the Lord Commander. So it's like he's
that man,
much of him. I don't know.
That man in everything he's in is intimidating.
Yeah,
in Lucifer.
I've never seen that, but I've heard about that.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, I just binged the hell out of Lucifer. No pun intended. And I binged that. He was dope in it in the few episodes he was in. In Highlander, great as well. Super like aggressive dude. I could definitely see him being a Kingsguard. Like perfect casting, in my opinion. Yeah. It'll probably be suck when they kill him or if he dies off or anything, but because I don't want to be spoilers.
Yeah, that sort of goes with the thing. Like anybody, that's actually probably why they did that, because he's such a good actor. They know he dies. That's like one of those deaths that kind of hits you like, oh shit, damn, that sucks.
Like you'll be here for a limited time. You don't have to like commit to us too long, and
Yeah, and I remember he was one of the ones. His armor, I actually have that. I could share that with you guys. His armor was one of the, his account on Twitter or something was one of the first ones that maybe it was his agency, but he was one of the first ones that like publicly announced, yeah, I'm on this new show. Did I not get a picture? Hang on. I could probably just search on YouTube. That'd be easier. I have so many folders on my desktop, it's like impossible to find, Yo,
this man is 60 and could probably kill me.
Yeah, especially on mounted horseback. There's something about someone on a horse that's just insanely intimidating. I don't know why, but something about it. All right. Oh, I thought what the fuck? Where'd the window go? This is insane. I thought oh wait, no, I didn't open it yet. Okay. But yeah, no, did you want to I guess describe his character from that
Graham McTavish, Sir Harold Westerling. Sir Harold has served in the Kingsguard since the days of King Jaehaerys. He is a paragon of chivalry and honor.
Yeah, I don't know why that picture. Whatever. You
can put it on post.
Yeah, I guess probably. That's so funny. You know what? I'm gonna do that and just leave it up this whole time to make myself look stupid. Like, hey, you forgot about modern technology, jackass. but yeah. So I guess one of the other things that I thought would be interesting to sort of talk about. I guess really it's more of your opinion on this. Like, what are one of the most things that you like look forward to the most? You're most excited about? Dragon.
I mean, it's in the title, man. The dragons, the house of the dragon too. It's just like, of course, I'm pretty chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry about this. I'm pretty basic. I like the Starks, I like the Lannisters, and I like the Targaryens. I mean, those are families that, we kind of grew to really care about in the previous series. I would imagine that whenever the Starks start appearing, they're definitely going to be like a very big, like, oh, like the Starks are back in it or whatever. When they eventually come up, but I mean, for right now, we have Lannisters and Targaryens and dragons, and the dragons, like, yo, one of the best shots of all of Game of Thrones was in the battle versus the dead when the dragons go up and they're just like in
It's
front
in
of the
season
moon
8.
above the
In
in
season 8.
season 8. Yeah, season 8. And when they're like above in the sky, like, and you see like the clouds below them, and it just looks so real. It looks beautiful, man. And I can't just wait to see how they just start bettering the technology as well. Because if they did what they did with Game of Thrones, 5 years have passed, and almost 5 years will have passed, maybe almost when they really started hitting these dragons up. And I'm excited, man. I mean, we have some really well-known dragons that are going to be here too. So I know that George had some comments in the podcast that you were talking about that are going to be like he was talking about the personalities and stuff. I'm really excited for it, man. Super, super excited for it. Like, I'm interested in seeing like what comes of it, like with the dragons, like how they implement them into the story.
You think there's
Like,
going to be White Walkers in this new series? Like, I know there isn't in the source material. There isn't, but they have to, like, at least with the northern plot. And when we see Clegane and stuff, like, there's got to be some sort of mention, like, oh, maybe he goes and kills a deserter or something like Ned did. You know what? I don't know.
I don't like. I know that when you have the whole thing with the greens and the blacks and everybody divvies up to their camps, and we know, I'm not sure if we're like getting into spoilers, but we know who the Starks align themselves with. I'm not gonna, say, are we talking spoilers or
Yeah,
are we
sure.
not? So
For sure.
we know that the Starks aligned with Rhaenyra. So we know that the Lord in Winterfell, I forgot his name off the top of my head right now, but we know that he is very straightforward, honorable.
Cregan.
Yeah, Cregan Stark. We know that he's super honorable, super, like, from what I remember reading and hearing and seeing stuff on him, he's very by the books. If you thought that Ned Stark was honorable, this guy is like next level from what I remember. So
Yeah, and there's like a subplot too where supposedly Sarah Snow is like his sister, it could be his daughter or some shit, and she ends up falling for one of Rhaenyra's sons. So there's like that pact of ice, the marriage of ice and fire supposedly started with them, and maybe they actually did get married. So maybe that pact has been fulfilled.
maybe they can put that in there.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's
fucking dope.
I mean, it would be. I'm telling you, I don't think that we're going to see the Starks right away, just because
it will be too much.
We'll probably hear them. We'll probably hear them referenced.
Yeah,
and then
they haven't. We know they haven't filmed any northern scenes yet. So
yeah,
like, no one's been cast as Cregan. So we know he's going to be in the series. But
so I'm my money is that it's going to be like a payoff type thing. Like, oh my god, like, kind of like when the Mortels came into season 4, that we're like, oh my god, like,
yeah,
we keep hearing about these people, and oh my god, that's Oberyn. I would imagine it's something similar to that. So, but that's probably like, what has me like really hyped. Like, I could see it going very, very, very well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm extremely excited about the Starks in the future.
I think I'm excited about the dragons, like, for sure. Like, how does it keep sharing the sound? It keeps doing that every time I share a new video. It shares the fucking sound. But like it's been a while, and Daenerys' dragons still look immaculate. So just imagine what these new dragons are going to look like. Like George has said, 17 dragons, not verbatim, in total, right? Not all in the first season. I think it would actually make more sense to introduce us maybe to 4 or 5, just the main characters, dragons, introduce us to the dragon riders, and then we'll spend time with the dragons and realize that they reflect personalities, right? So Daemon's flying of Caraxes, this red savage motherfucker who may not be as big as all the other dragons, but one thing's for certain, and is that red dragons are super savage, right? So Drogon being a mix of black and red, he was large, but he was also the most brutal and the most vicious of his brothers. So if we see that more in this show, we could see this is what a full-blooded red dragon is like, right? So all of the worst parts of Drogon. And Caraxes is able to kill Vhagar, right? And Vhagar's around during the conquering of Aegon's of West, during the conquering of Aegon's conquest. No, but so the fact that a dragon is so much smaller than it's nuts. That's what I'm honestly that
like no, like, to be honest, when you think about it,
how much you think they're gonna hang dong in this?
I mean, if you recall, because I remember specifically when we were watching Game of Thrones, we were doing all our videos. You would always get like the Twitter outrage that like, yo, why are we only seeing women? Why are we only seeing women? So I would imagine that they will throw in a few schlongs.
They did towards the later season. Remember the guy that's like,
no, yeah, but he had like an STD, wasn't it? Like
he's like,
guy who had like
this?
the ward.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
He had like a ward on his junk, and like I would imagine they probably are gonna do stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of like the dragon stuff you were talking about, the personalities, and like we saw it with the direwolves, right? We saw that Shaggy Dog and Ghost and all of these direwolves. They kind of had like the same personality as their owners. And I would imagine the same thing is like the same bond between the dragons. And like, I'm really excited to see some of these dragon battles, bro. Like, yeah. I feel like the one with
$20 million for like a 10 minutes, 10 minutes of scene.
Like the scene with the Night King, it was cool, but it wasn't like consistent. We're seeing like this one of the best killings on dragon and like anything. Like I feel kind of weird even talking about it because we know what happens, but like with Daemon, I can't wait to see that shit. That shit's gonna be fun. Like, bro, that's gonna be dope. Like, just imagine people like jumping off of a dragon, like, I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch. Like, yeah, that's gonna be like, look at that. Like, yeah, I can't wait to see that live action. It's gonna be insane, bro. Like,
yeah. In Dark Sister, the accuracy. Like, here, let me show one of the close-ups of Dark Sister, like where he's throwing it in the sand. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. So there's some people saying that they don't necessarily think that it looks as extravagant as they thought it would be, or some bullshit. You know, people complain about everything, but I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, it'll look better because people forget that with the wigs and with their costumes, it's so far away. It's so
one thing though, I would tell everyone who has an issue with how things look and how everything. And I really want to say this because I feel like this is going to be important to tell everyone who's listening to this, fan or not of the show, whoever you are, King's Landing is not going to be as big. It's not going to have all this crazy. It's not going to look how it did in the show that we saw. Remember, this is like 150 years prior to what we saw. The same thing goes for everything else. It's 150 years back.
Dragonstone is going to look fucking amazing, though. And inside the Red Keep, we'll have all those dragon skulls that Robert removed when he took power. So
it's going to be a whole
that will look fucking dope.
King's Landing, everything might be more Valyrian because it's closer to Valyrian times. The armor is going to look different. The way that they do things is going to nothing in our world looks like it was 100 years ago. You know what I mean? Expect the same from this show. And that's one of the things that I'm most hyped for. I want to see how King's Landing was built up. You know what I mean? How it looked. What were the defenses? How do you defend from a dragon back then? They probably had better defenses against dragons back then than they do in Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Because they actually had dragons back then. So it should be interesting. Like, everybody should temper their expectations, I think, with what they're expecting to see, I think, a bit.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting, because like a lot of people were saying that the costumes look more appropriate, right? So if this time period is more inspired by a certain time period from English history, then their costumes have to look a certain way because that will invoke that style, and maybe they'll look more like the Tudors or whatever they're supposed to be representing. My whole thing is like any of these complaints with how shitty the wigs look or how shitty the costumes look. Although I haven't really heard that much complaints about Daemon's armor or his costume, just people were complaining about his wig, but it's from far away. The details on the sword, I kind of zoomed in. They're going to be way more ornate. The intricacies of the costumes will look better. The people walking in the background of the beach scenes, like there's literally people walking in the background when they're filming. So it's obvious we're not supposed to be seeing this shit, right? So that's what I think where most of this.
Like another thing too is I think a lot of people like you said, this is kind of like a learning curve a little bit for them. And this is a learning curve with people who have worked on Game of Thrones in the past. They already know all these other things that work but like not every head is the same shape. You know what I mean? Not every person looks great in certain colors. Certain shoulder pads don't look good on other people and some do on others. So like this is a learning curve, and I would, preach a little bit of like, let's take it easy a little bit. Let's lower our expectations.
Yeah,
let's reset everything.
I feel like it sort of grew, like especially after Star Wars and stuff. I think as we're like hating something became really popular. The new Star Wars is like,
for sure.
Sometimes it's so easy to pick something apart to find everything wrong with it, and you realize how popular that can be online. It's like, oh man, look, they're getting roasted. They're roasting the shit out of this fucking show. And they like do all that shit. So I actually think that sometimes that's done just for more of like, try to make themselves feel good by like saying, like just talking shit about stuff. And they're like, no, I'm a big fan of it. That's why I can talk shit about it. I think that's become more popular than anything nowadays. But I don't know.
I mean, I agree, because when you look at the grand scheme of things, you might not be a fan of something. You might not like how things play out, how things may look, but you also have to give them the opportunity to go through their process. You see the product. When you see the product, when you see what they put in front of you, then you judge a little bit.
Yeah, but, like wait and see. Just wait.
Yeah, like just wait, because
see this.
like legit. Like when you think about what they're doing, they're basically probably. And if they're aspiring to be anything close to Game of Thrones, they're trying to make basically 10 movies, 10 mini movies. And that is more work than most high-end productions that you see in Hollywood. They only film for a few weeks and then they just shut everything down, and that's it.
And that's another thing. The pandemic has made it so much,
Yeah, man, it's a legit disaster right now. To be like right now, I work in theater, and I work like in the theater and stuff. And some of the rules and things that they're trying to implement in these places, not just for how previously you would deal with people, but just also how the actors, you know what I mean? How you deal with these actors. If an actor gets COVID, if an actor gets ill, sick, something, that could shut down a whole production for weeks. You're talking about like millions of dollars. Like, I'm not sure if you saw Tom Cruise bugging out because of the whole COVID protocol thing. Like it's a legit thing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stress right now when it comes to making these high-end productions, these big shows and things like the biggest example, we were talking about it earlier as well. Look at Stranger Things. Stranger Things, how many years has it been since the previous season?
So fucking long, like 2019 at the
end. And they made this, they wrote the show already, and they're already making it. And it's coming out the same year as a show who's been out like 2 years before, like House of the Dragon. It's insane. It's really crazy. Like when you think about it, it's insane to me. Like they're doing a good job. I trust them.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that like a lot of people forget too when they're hating on shit is like how fucking awesome Game of Thrones was in its heyday. Like regardless of whether you think it's a watchable after season 8 or whatever, the show is the greatest series of all time, and it won all these awards and all this shit. And really, in my opinion, the thing that certifies all that, because you could say that's all like mainstream Hollywood bullshit, the downloads, the illegal downloads online were insane. They would have more people that would download the episode online because it wasn't available in their country. They couldn't afford HBO than they would that would actually watch it. So much, but that is what to me certifies that it's the greatest series of all time. It's the most pirated show of all time, and it's not because people just love or pretending they like the show, or like we're just making it up, or they're
no,
it's literally people love this. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's that show. It's the show that like And when you really, really look at Game of Thrones and just this whole world of A Song of Ice and Fire, it's one of those like franchises that came out of nowhere, and it is a franchise now. It's I know some people they might be like, oh, you can't compare it to a Star Wars, a Marvel, or anything like that, but you actually could, because you could. This world is so deep and it has so much stuff in it. Like, look at you have dragons, you have White Walkers, you have pirates. Like, look at Euron right here. You have
Yeah.
freaking pirates. You have if you look to a Shy and Essos, you have like witches, warlocks, you have like freaking cannibals, you have like you have a very, very deep playpen
Yeah,
of
like Martin knew that you can't just have a main storyline with a diverse cast of characters. You need a world to make it feel like it's fucking more immersive. So the fact that he included so much into that is just it's insane.
no,
It
it's
it makes sense that they decided that HBO was like, all right, we need to turn this into a cinematic universe. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
tossing around ideas. Like one of them was like the flea bottom. I don't know. A lot of people were talking shit about that. A lot of the alt right nerd channels on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but they got a kick out of the flea bottom premise for an idea, which it's the slums in King's Landing.
Yeah.
I thought that was a genius idea. I thought it would be fucking dope to have like this 10 episode miniseries about the perspective of living under a Targaryen, maybe even Maegor the Cruel. You could do so much with that little bullshit, 10 episode series, and it will just further fill out the universe. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think they went more so with Duncan Egg for
I
doing shit
mean,
like that. But
I definitely don't agree with the mentality of not exploring things just because they're not as flashy as
yeah,
some others, right? Like,
yeah.
for me personally,
Like Rogue
some
One
of
is the best Star Wars movie of all time, in my opinion. And it was literally just filling up how the fuck did they get the Death Star plan.
like I you brought up the point of like these hating YouTube channels, like, because there
Yeah.
are YouTube channels that are just out to hate on things, to rally people, just to like hate on shit and be annoying, quite frankly. A bunch, like, I've seen a lot of channels like that is like, oh, Star Wars did this, or I don't know,
It's like,
Marvel actor said this, and it has nothing to
yeah.
do with the
Oh my
movies.
God.
Like,
Have you seen Shang-Chi yet?
I've seen it twice.
So Simu Lee fucked up by retweeting that picture. I'll say it. Nerdrotic, that fucking guy. It's so annoying, dude. They all pretend to be nerds, but they bitch and complain too fucking much. And he scapegoats on, oh, I'm not really a fan, but this is what the fans are saying. Like almost everything that motherfucker covers, he doesn't know anything about. He's not a fan of, but
I,
this is what the fans are saying. Like that shit
I
is so
don't I
annoying,
don't
bro.
know I don't know who that is, but I would, to
Dude,
me, if you met one of them, you met them all.
I
Like,
didn't know who he was until someone commented on one of my videos saying I sounded like this person. I'm like, what the fuck? You think I sound like this fucking dude who's literally like basically Ben Shapiro, but for nerds? Like, come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. That's just crazy.
the thing is to me is that, like, it's very easy to be like, oh, you should have done this, you
Yeah,
should have done that, you know what I mean?
right. This would be
But
better because you know the opposite. You know what you got. So it's grass is always greener on the other side. You know what you didn't get because you know what you got. You know what I mean?
like, and it's very easy to play with house money, you know what I mean? Because you're not losing anything. But when you really look at like the grand scheme of things, this is a universe, this is its own thing. And some of my favorite episodes of Game of Thrones are episodes where you see that are character driven. Like, I'll mention to you like two of my, I even got goosebumps just now thinking about these two scenes. One scene when Brienne gets knighted, another scene when Catelyn Stark is talking about how everything that is happening bad to her family is because she couldn't love a motherless child. Like,
Yeah. That's
those,
fucked up.
like those scenes, the score. All right, another one when Theon says that his father died in King's Landing, was beheaded in King's Landing, like when Ramsay is like torturing him and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like,
Look, I'm getting
those,
goosebumps just from
yo,
you
like,
talking
I'm
about
getting
it, bro.
goosebumps just even thinking about it. And to me, like, when you hear those things, you're like, damn, like, you feel for the character. It actually builds something, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
for it goes to show you, and this is just something I think that in society now is very unempathetic. Like, we're not interested in what the other is feeling or what the other is thinking or perspective, I think. So I think that that's translating a lot into media. You know what I mean? Just how we interpret media. Everybody thinks that everybody has an agenda. Like sometimes I just turn my brain off and I just enjoy a movie. Like it's just it needs to be done, you know?
Yeah, my son has made it more possible for me to do that because from being in YouTube mode, I'm always like hypercritical.
Analyzing, yeah.
Yeah, right. Not hypercritical, but just like being like, oh shit, if I miss this fucking part, it's gonna link to something later in this movie. And I'm watching something stupid like Jason X, right? Oh my
God,
like
him killing her here has no idea.
Dude, yeah, like I watched that last night, and my son's like playing in his playpen and stuff, and he's just like, and I'm like, can you be? I'm trying to watch them. Like literally, like, hang on, this is an intense.
Yeah, like,
oh my god,
I do feel that Game of Thrones, and specifically like us, Game of Thrones YouTube channels, from like back in the day, I think that we did really dig into a lot of stuff. Like, I remember like at one point when I was doing the like, because the reason that we were like that is because Game of Thrones gave us so much.
It made you have to be like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, Jason, like if Jason kills someone with a spoon, you're like, that spoon might come into play later. I don't know how.
Yeah, that spoon probably is what influenced him to do that, because when he held the spoon, he remembered that. Like,
like I don't know how they're gonna get that out of her brain, but they are, and it's gonna come into play later. But in all seriousness, I think that something about Flea Bottom would have been dope. You know what I mean? Like it would have been legit dope just to see a different perspective.
Yeah, I think one thing I took away from that props podcast, just sort of relating back to that, or some thoughts I had on that from mentioning that earlier, is that George said that he doesn't like comic books because they reboot themselves after like ever so often. So he's like, all 400 issues of Spider-Man that I just fucking read don't count now because they rebooted the character. It's like, why do you do that? He likes serial storytelling, I guess. One big storyline, right? So we're getting to fill in more chunks to this Westeros storyline, which makes me think that they're never going to redo season 8 like people hope, but instead there'll be a sequel, a follow-up. What the fuck happens next? Which I think makes more sense, because why the fuck would they redo it? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
like obviously there were flaws with it, but I'm saying it makes much more sense to just continue telling that story.
No, I mean, when you look at it, at the end of the day, I do believe that, like you said, was it everybody's cup of tea? No. But did they give mostly every story thread that mattered closure? Yes. They gave it closure. Everything ended for those characters and started anew for them. But like when you look at, like you said, continuity and like continuous storytelling, you look no further than the MCU. The MCU, all this universe is connected, and then you have these people who one thing affects the other. Like you look at the incident in New York in Avengers, Sokovia, and then you have the Sokovia Accords, and it's like this one thread that adds up to all these other things. To be honest, I still love Game of Thrones. I still have like 3 bottles of ale from Game of Thrones, like here. Like,
yeah, I had a bottle of wine. I don't even drink wine, that we carried to the new house from like the 2018 or whatever the fuck. I don't even think I stored it right. I'm pretty sure it's sour, but I don't give a shit. It's Game of Thrones.
I have the Cersei beer, ale, the Cersei one, the Jon Snow one, and
you talking about the Omi gang. The Omi gang.
Yeah.
There was this dude that was selling those at convention, Con of Thrones. Speaking of which, that's a good. You like that segue?
Yeah,
man. There is a sponsored Game of Thrones convention that is coming up. It's going to be in Vegas. This is the first one that has ever been. Hang on, I got a little thing for it. It's ever been officially like licensed by HBO, so that means they're going to be getting anybody, really, George R. R. Martin himself, Dan and Dave, Emilia Clarke, Kit Harington, Cersei. A lot of those major top tier cast members never went to the Con of Thrones or Comic-Con or any of the other conventions that would highlight Game of Thrones cast members. They didn't necessarily go to those. They had to be contractually obligated to do something. And I think the only reason why like Cersei only went to the first one or whatever is because they knew that this one would be coming eventually. And if they're going to do something like this is supposed to be happening in February, I'll try to link it down below in the description. But I also have GoFundMe set up. My YouTube ad revenue is not enough to pay for a trip like that alone. But basically, there's no way that they're not going to be able to get like top tier cast members. I don't know, Ray. How excited when you heard about this? How excited were you?
I mean, to be honest, anytime that you could band with the community and you could meet people from the community and YouTubers, fans, subscribers, followers, all that good stuff, like just people who, because I'm not sure about you, but like me specifically, I was like a nut talking about Game of Thrones with people. And
that's literally why I started my channel, because
like me too. And nobody loved Game of Thrones as much as I did. Well, you know where you're gonna find people like that? Probably in this convention. And it'll be a great event to have like everything officially dope. Like I would imagine that all the other ones were dope as well. I've never gone to any of them.
Yeah, but they weren't officially backed by HBO. So it's like it's harder. It was a lot harder for them to get guests. And a lot of the time some of the bigger guests would cancel. So you'd end up going, not to sound like a dickhead, but
you pay or you make an investment.
You pay that money, you take time off, you want to go meet the actor, and then they get canceled. This is something that with it having the official like backing of HBO, that's less likely to happen.
No, yeah, and I think that just that being like a legitimate thing, also the fact that it does have the backing of HBO and the creators of all these shows, like we were talking before we went on a little bit about this. You don't know what they might drop there. You don't know what they might show. Yeah. You don't know.
It'll be a perfect time to release like the season 1 trailer for House of the Dragon or something.
Of course. Like it'll definitely be very interesting. It's and plus in Vegas. God, the debauchery. Game of Thrones in Vegas. I can't even imagine the stories.
George is going to be hosting like an orgy with all of the stars.
I could just imagine. I am the god of tits and wine, and just like with your like goblet of wine, just
You ever see that? Did you ever see that meme of him swimming in the pool or whatever? George, where he's like, "Why Winds of Winter hasn't come out yet?" And he's like basically swimming naked in his pool or some shit, and he's like leisurely hanging out in New Mexico. He's like jumping on a trampoline. You haven't seen that? It's really funny.
No.
But yeah, it's like it was an SNL skit, I think. And SNL like made fun of George, like why Winds isn't here or something. Like, what is he doing? Might not have been SNL, but just some.
It was like a skit,
trope. Right? And he's like fucking doing jumping jacks. He's like swimming in the pool, like just it's really funny. But yeah. There was one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and we're kind of at like that hour time frame. So there was a couple things from Twitter, Ray, that I wanted to get your thoughts on. And this is from over on Twitter. Make sure you go follow me at Sir_Hunts. Rays, what's your Twitter profile if you want? I'll link it down below in the description, but if you want to shout that out.
Of course. Rays Alba at Rays Alba, RAYZALBA. Raise Alba.
All right. And so this person says, I'm interested in what the theme / opening music will be. And then they followed it up with, have any artists signed on to the show that you know of? As far as artists, I really hope they get Kieran Belshaw. He did all the season 7, season 8 concept art of like Daenerys in the Dragon Pit, Daenerys talking in the ruins of King's Landing. But I know Ramin Djawadi is going to be doing the theme song for the show.
You have to bring that man back. Like, if if you do not bring that man back, it's a wrap for you, bro. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, if you do not bring Ramin Djawadi back, you had concerts. HBO was banking in concerts of like this. Like it is insane. Like, you have to bring him back. That man has gone on to work on some pretty dope stuff too on Westworld.
Yeah, like the music is just as important as the casting. For
of course.
Like you wouldn't have the intensity of who the fuck chases? Is it who the? Remember in the Bells? No, the Bells is season 8.
Yeah, the
Cersei blowing
bells.
up the Sept of Baelor. Remember when the little
Yeah,
when
the sept of the light of the seven.
that episode and that opening scene would not be nowhere near as intense as it would be if it wasn't for the music. Like that shit is crazy. I remember thinking like, what the fuck is this? Like that shit was nuts. One time I did that in the live stream and I did it so well it flagged the video.
That's why I stopped, because I was like if I'm like humming it, they might pick up on us, the
Yeah,
ops. But I
it's
mean,
crazy.
no, but it is legit. Like you hear it, like, bro.
Imagine the theme for this scene. Battle above the God's Eye. How fucking epic is that going to be? And
Like,
that's several years down the line from now.
like just I just started getting goosebumps thinking about the Red Wedding and the Reigns of Castamere.
Yeah.
That man brought the horror of the Reigns of Castamere to life. Like, yo, just think about that. George wrote it in the book, and it's like it's thing, but this man like brought it to life, and like I'm not even joking. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about like this man made that. Like every time I hear the Reigns of Castamere, you think like dreadful. You get like I'm telling you, it is incredible his work. On
So
Westworld, he's been great as well.
yeah, I think to answer that question, really, like, what do we think it's going to be? I think it's going to be a combination of Light of the Seven, the Bells, and what was the one that you just mentioned? The Reigns of Castamere.
Reigns of Castamere.
Like, it's going to have that iconic. We might even have the same like type of strings that you can easily point it out because that's what he did with Westworld with the fucking piano tunes. Like that's Westworld.
Yeah, no, yeah. He uses like a certain set of instruments for different shows, like for whatever he's doing. But one of the best things he did on Game of Thrones was definitely the scores for the families and houses. Like the Starks have their own thing.
Distinguish, yeah.
It's very much, you could tell, like, all right, we're kind of like when you hear the Starks, you hear like family, like, you know what I mean? You associate like a feeling or like a thought to that song.
I always get cold.
like for me, I don't know. I think like whenever I hear the Starks, like I legit have playlists of like scores, and I have like every Game of Thrones track in that playlist, like all of them, because it's just like it's so iconic. Even like, you know what I mean? It's just really really dope, and it just teleports you to that first time you saw it as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a lot of like heavy like Daenerys elements, some of the instruments that were used in her themes, but I think it's gonna be something new, of course, but it'll just have that like
bro, you want to know which one really gets me bugged out? The Night King. The Night King's one, bro. Yeah. Yo, every time I hear that, I think like
I wish I could play these.
I know, right? Like
right away, YouTube's gonna be like, no.
They're claimed the video right away. But like the Night King video, the Night King score, when he's like walking towards Bran. Whenever I hear that song, I'm like, I don't know who I'm gonna chop down, but I'm gonna chop someone down. Like it just sets you in that mood. You know what I mean? It's just dope, man. It's just a dope score.
Yeah. And I guess we're at that wrap up time. I guess this will be the last one before we get out of here. Do you think the show is going to cut mushroom? I've answered this like a lot. People comment. I think at this point it's a troll question to me. People are like, you think the show's going to include the midget guy who narrates everything, who's like sort of similar to Tyrion, but he doesn't have as many redeeming qualities. People ask me that all the time. I've said it. I think it would be foolish to not include Mushroom. I think Mushroom's version of the stories are salacious, yes, but he has some of the most accurate truths about it because he survived it, right? So he's one of the few characters that was able to mingle with both sides in the beginning and like, was witness to things. People thought he was retarded, so people thought he was mentally challenged, so they didn't hold back on saying stuff in front of him. So he's got like all the good details. I don't know.
And from my perspective, I think that, like you said something about this earlier, and I think this is very much true. You wouldn't want to have things repeating themselves too much, similar to Game of Thrones. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't want to have like the children not being the kings or the person's act, and then like for you to have like someone who is similar to Tyrion and is very much it's funny because I was going to say very much involved in the story, like, but I mean, because I started thinking about Tyrion, how they said he wasn't in the Citadel's version of events in season 8, but he's very much a piece in the story, like, and sees everything through. Like, I don't think that they would want to repeat things too much. You know what I mean? Just, I think it would be more beneficial to leave a character like that out than to leave him in at this point, because nobody is narrating in this. It's going to be like, we're going to see what's happening. Because in Game of Thrones, it was point of view as well. But here, since it's like we're actually seeing, like, since we're actually seeing it play out, I don't think you need anyone to narrate things per se.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think really they shouldn't do something like be afraid to call back too much to the main series. Did you see they added it before? It was just House of the Dragon. Now it's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, or whatever. There's definitely a bunch of people you could just see online from channels way bigger than mine. When they make a House of the Dragon video, it doesn't get as many views as Game of Thrones did. Like, obviously, you could look at my view count where it was in season 8 and be like, oh, okay. I don't think, to be honest, unless there's fans that are on YouTube, which there were way more when the show was actually on, I think they don't really. Some people might not even know this show is like in the Game of Thrones universe. Like, obviously, House of the Dragon ties it to it. HBO ties it to it. But I think I don't even remember what the fuck my point is and all that. Like, I literally just completely forgot my point in what I was saying.
No, I know you were saying that that they shouldn't stay away from it too much, from involving, like, similar things from the previous story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So those themes are going to be able to be callbacks. So like, okay, you could do Mushroom in a way where it's like, yes, he is similar to Tyrion, but also this is a medieval time and jesters were a thing. So there were a lot of midgets and dwarves or whatever who were forced into those roles. And as far as like not knowing parentage and all that stuff being a similar thing, is like also that was very common back then. They didn't know, you know what I mean? You weren't 100% sure. So those themes are just common in English history, which is what the show's based off of, I guess. I don't know.
Yo, just FYI, I think that the M word, I think they don't like that word.
What?
For small people?
Midget?
Yeah. I think that's not I don't think that's the term. I don't think that's the term. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but little person, doesn't that sound more demeaning? You know what I mean? Like, they're saying,
I don't know. Like, I've seen people talk about it and they say like little person or like dwarf, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure.
See, like, I've heard people say dwarf was offensive because that's like a mythological creature.
No. But I mean, like, you could just say little person. But I'm just saying, check it out before you put that in, because you don't want to get like flack for that.
I'm gonna leave all this.
I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? I'm keeping it because
I did that one time in a video, and I had said little person and dwarf several times, and then at the end I just said midget by accident. Like, I forgot to just edit it out. It's like, when I'm saying it, I don't know.
Before I remember before, when I was younger, I think it was okay to say, or that was the way that everybody said it. But then I think that it kind of was like, it turned into the slur. I don't know, man. But like, I think that in the context of the show, you would be good with, I think you'll be safe with dwarf, because they say it in the show, they say dwarf. But I don't know. Again, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like,
there's some demeaning scenes that happen in the books, I guess, with Mushroom, but it's also like, that's realistic. That's kind of stuff happened. You like, don't be afraid to show it. You should be informing people about it so they know, like, hey man, it used to be crazy to be someone who suffered from that ailment back then. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think this seems like a good point to wrap this up. Race, did you want to mention anything that I might have forgotten, or maybe that you thought of while we were having this?
No,
the casting or anything, or
I mean, I'm excited. The closer and closer we get, the more I see this dragon just flying to pick me up for my trip to the Dominican Republic, the more excited I get for House of the Dragon people. And now that we see the faces of the people that are going to be in this show, the cast, It's becoming more and more real, and it just gets me excited. And I hope everybody's getting as excited, and everyone in the community that was on Game of Thrones. I hope that everybody comes back and
They're gonna
we
be the
get to have
first.
that community.
Yeah, the people who said they were gonna watch this new show are gonna be the first ones when that fucking trailer drops to go, holy shit! Why? Oh my god! What? Like that trailer is literally gonna break the fucking internet. We haven't gone this long without anything new from Game of Thrones, really, like in 10 years. Like so,
Yeah, no, a
there was
decade.
never, even when we went 2 years almost in between season 7 and 8, we still had leaks, we had fucking trailers, we had like the promise that we knew there were more episodes coming. Now it's like we've been completely without it for so long. I can't wait until
One, it's funny you bring that up. One thing I've heard a lot of people, and hopefully this show doesn't suffer from this, but one thing specifically that I've heard a lot of people bring up is the wait time for season 8. That for a lot of people, it impacted it negatively. Like the fact that we had to wait for so long. And then on top of it, we got something a lot of people didn't like after waiting so long. If we probably would have got it like a year after, it probably wouldn't have been as bad. But we basically waited like a year and a half. and then like I'm not sure about you, but I remember specifically like the battle at Winterfell with the White Walkers and the Army of the Dead. That came out the same weekend as Avengers Endgame. So you go from like a crazy high.
Yeah.
And then like I remember saying, and you could quote me on this, I remember saying this is gonna be the best weekend ever.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I went Friday night to see Endgame.
I saw it twice.
I wish I could have. My brother went on Thursday night at like 12.
Not in the theater. I saw it downloaded first. Because it was so good when I got home. I was like, yeah, I gotta watch it again.
You were like, I don't care what I'm watching. I'll watch it again. But yeah, man, it was definitely intense. Like it was insane that weekend. So, but I have a good feeling about this one.
Yeah, I think there's not really after watching like or seeing all these leaked pictures coming out, I think it's just a matter of time before we get some sort of teaser trailer or something. I know we kind of mentioned that earlier. Or I don't know if we mentioned that in this podcast or before we started recording, but
we mentioned it about the Vegas thing,
trailer.
possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that trailer has to be coming out. I'm pretty sure they've gotten so much more footage they could add to it. Oh yeah, there was one thing. I don't know. I know you didn't do the leaks for season 8, but there was that. Oh wait, what the fuck am I doing? There was that one. Image of Daemon slamming. Can you see it? Slamming his sword into the ground, and then it looks like he kind of walks into the ocean a little bit. Hang on, let me zoom out. So you see him, he's like kind of walking into the ocean. Now, if you remember in season 8, the filming process, we had Cersei and Jon Snow meeting up by themselves. Do you remember that? That scene never happened. They never. So do you think that's what this is? Like, or do you think that he's like distraught, fell off his dragon maybe? Because it looks clearly like that boom arm that's like coming down looks similar to what I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, most of these leaked images look kind of iffy to me. They kind of look like they're there to probably give us content.
Oh well,
like,
yeah. I mean, some of them
I honestly believe, because the fact that, like you said, like these images and the way that the boom mic is like right in the frame, like of course it's in the frame because they're taking a picture of it, but I mean, like, where are they filming this? Is it like a rehearsal of a scene that they're about to film?
There's a camera in the top. It's cut out because the person cropped these images together, but there's a camera right up here in the top right, and then you can see them filming again, like in that top one, right when he's about to throw the sword down. I just don't think that they have, like, for season 8, there was legitimate reason to film fake scenes to throw people off. For this show, not so much. Everybody who's looking at shit like this probably already knows the story, and also there's no scene. I guess that could be the point of it, because there's no scene like I don't know.
No, yeah, no, it makes sense what you're saying, because with season 8, we wanted to figure out what was going to happen. With this show, we kind of already know what's going to happen, and it's new. So there's not like this demand for leaks. Like in Game of Thrones. I remember, like if you were working on Game of Thrones, you have to be careful when you were going to take a shit because there probably was a camera following you or
Yeah.
something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it
Some
was
of the
insane.
scripts like
Yeah.
self-destructed and shit, and they
Yeah,
only
no, like
worked for a few hours, and then you had to
it
get a
was
new
wild.
tablet.
It was wild. It was wild. And like I'm not sure if you saw like this Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home trailer that leaked.
Yeah,
Like
did a video on it.
Yeah, like all of that, bro. It's
They
serious. Like
know that it promotes the promotes the fandom, builds the hype.
It gets a hype. Like
100.
they probably didn't want it to leak like that. I doubt that they like Sony wanted
You
it
don't
to
think
leak.
that person would have been like sued all to hell if they did that? I think
They probably were fired, but
yeah, I think they have like 4 or 5 people that are in charge of leaking shit. They leak super credible information, but then they also release nonsense so that people are still kind of like, oh well, they're not 100% confirmed source, so it's not that obvious that it's Marvel saying, hey, this is what the fuck's gonna happen in our next movie. They know that because Game of Thrones started that. Remember, like Dan and Dave would intentionally leak episodes like, oh, you telling me some fucking guy in HBO India accidentally leaked the first 2 episodes for season 7? No, that was intentionally done. You remember that? Like, and we had to wait to release videos. I don't know if you had watched.
I don't know about leaking. I don't know about leaking the episodes, but
remember everybody had dropped videos right at 9, right as the episode came out. It's like,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do that. I never did. I never did that, bro.
Fastest review ever.
I know. I edited it and finished it all in a minute. I did it all in 1 minute. I never saw anything pirated. I never used any images of anything pirated.
I saw a screener.
I was like, I remember when that happened. No, that season 7 was it season 7?
It was
season 7. No, season 7 leaked for sure. But was it season 6? I remember the Hodor episode. Yeah, season 6. When the hold the door. Oh yeah, that episode leaked. And I remember watching it and I was like, I cannot believe I cannot talk about this. I was like, I cannot believe that I am legally not allowed to talk about this episode until like the next day. Because they leaked like a whole day before.
Hell yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest parts have it like really the ones that are going to set the online leak community on fire are coming out. They're going to be coming out next month in Spain because they just there's so much shit to film in Spain, and the fact that they kept publicly announcing the dates they're going to be shooting there. That's where I think we're going to have the first dragon battle where there'll be like a bunch of flaming people like running around literally, remember like we had, what was it? Something like 19 people on fire or something. They broke records for that loot train scene where like the most amount of people on fire on not just on TV, but also, and it was crazy. Just imagine that kind of shit. I think is what's going to be filmed in Spain. There's a lot of like, I don't know, opportunity with a lot of some of the architecture in like Portugal and stuff.
I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they do this whole, the pyrotechnics on this show might be insane. Like, crossfire from dragons and like.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Is like they had dragons fighting each other in the later seasons, and there was only like 1 or 2 of them. That's gonna happen this entire series. Like literally every fucking season, there's massive battles between the dragons, and there's no way they're not going to translate most of them because that's honestly the biggest part of this story is the battles. There's so much more war, in my opinion, in this one, just because they're the writers, the creators, Ryan Condal, Miguel Sapochnik, they know where the story ends, so they know where they get to play the most. You know what I mean, and still remain in canon. Where it's like Dan and Dave sort of are like, these aren't our characters. Tyrion was a smart guy. Let's make him say smart stuff. He drinks and he knows. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Like, he's just witty and
you boil them down to their most essential parts, and that's what a lot of people didn't like. But Ray, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you? I think this is a good spot to wrap this episode up.
Yeah, so you could find me on YouTube, Raise the Alba. I might be making a comeback. And you could also find me here on Twitter. My @ is Raise Alba on Twitter, and like I said, YouTube, Raise the Alba.
No doubt, and I'll definitely link those down below in the description. If you all enjoyed this, I'm gonna upload this whole video, and then I'm gonna highlight it and upload clips. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Just if you guys like that, or if you want it done like that, next time, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you go follow Ray on social media. Go subscribe to his channel. The like goal for this video is going to be 42069. I want to thank you all so much for watching. My name is Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Long Night Reviews.